welcome to today's video. If you're a new viewer, you're welcome to Scholarship Home, where I provide guide, mentorship, tutorials, and all necessary documents that you require to ace your academic dreams or professional dream, as it were. And if you're a returning viewer, I hope you've subscribed. Either one, whether new or returning, do ensure you subscribe and turn on the notification bell so that you don't miss out on any of the subsequent videos. Without further ado, in this video, we'll be considering now how to write your Commonwealth Shared Scholarship essays. I'm going to provide in-depth approach to adopt and secure a placement for the scholarship. In the last video, I mentioned, and in the pool I pulled up, responses show that if I shoot a video on how to answer the essays, you would be better motivated to keep your dreams and hopes high. And so this video is going to be a two-part video. The first part is going to focus on a couple of questions, while the second part is going to address the remaining questions. So let's get started as I take you through to my dashboard. Okay, so welcome back. For me to have arrived here, you realize that I have filled and completed information to 60%, which you have here. I have my information to 60%, and so that meant I've already completed quite a number of information, starting with biodata page, information, personal information, academics, CV, to referees details, 3 referees, which I explained in the video on the Commonwealth Scholarship. And so in this video, we'll be considering the essays. But before we start considering developmental essay, you must select 3 sustainable development goals that relate with your future development impact, starting with the most relevant. And of course, if you've noticed carefully, I have always talked about climate and health, geography of health. Yeah, that's my area of specialty. And so climate action is my first sustainable goal. I have clean water and sanitation, then I have good health and well-being. In my own case, I've prioritized them. And so check through the 6 thematic areas of the Commonwealth Scholarship, from inclusivity as far down to technology, and choose whichever one aligns with your dream. Check them through, and when you check them through, you can relate. Or better still, maybe I show you what the 6 themes are. These are the 6 themes: access, inclusion, and opportunity, promoting. So you have the 3 of them: strengthening resilience and responses to crisis. These are the 6 thematic areas, and when you check them through, you can see the schools that offer or that are in partnership with those teams. So you can check out and apply. I remember in the last video I said you could apply for up to 50 scholarship schools if you have the capacity to go all out. And I showed you some of the limitations. Some schools just have slot for 1 or 2, maximum is 10. Majority is between 3 and 4, 2 and 4, 2 and 4. So you need to give your best shot to it, and you have a lot of researches to do. Let's continue further. Now, having chosen this, now I need to start addressing questions. How my proposed study relates to A and B. A, development issues at the global level, national and local level. B, sustainable issues. Now, in this question, the question seeks to know my global attention and global information level. And so they intend that I have a general to specific approach, which is deductive in nature. That is, I start from global issues of concern. What are the global issues of concern? Hello, my viewer. Global issues of concern predominantly at this point is the SDG 2030, Vision 2030, and that's the 17 SDG goals. So you know what the 17 SDG goals are. And just in case you'd prefer to see a highlight of it, I turn over to the United Nations SDG goals, and you can see there are 1, 2, good health and well-being, quality education, gender equality, clean water and sanitation, name it. You can just run through to the 17th one, which is partnerships for global goals, for the goals. And then you can choose. If you want to narrow down your approach, you can come through and look at the 169 targets. And based on the target, the total number of targets they have approached to reach the goal, you can take one or two if you want. But from the general, take the global index. And when you do that, you would have successfully relate well with a global issue. Now take that global issue and source information that relates to it by adding statistics. For instance, you're taking the issue of clean water generally in the global world, and you're considering maybe mining activities and how it has been polluting the river, the delta regions of the world where major crude extraction takes place. You start by saying the International Monetary Fund, for instance, let's say they give an analysis. International Monetary Fund's report 2017 reports that on the average 33% of global oil mining communities are at a risk of consuming infested water or polluted water due to this and that and that. This report was corroborated or is corroborated by the findings of so and so in so year. You know, you're doing a statistically proven report, and don't forget, Wikipedia is not a source document that is reliable. So don't go using Wikipedia for your information. It will be dead on arrival. So get statistics to your point and add credible sources. I mentioned that. And so with that being said, if you get the picture clearly, you are on a path to the right success. Now get those information and connect them to the next bullet point, which is your personal experience. What is your personal experience? Tell a quick story. Majority of you, irrespective of where you're watching from, you've either interned or you are currently interning or volunteering in an organization. For Nigerians, you must have done your national youth service or probably about to go for it. When you go for it, get a story, get an environment, get yourself a climate that gives you room to have your story connect with the goals you want to achieve in the future. By saying that, for instance, let's say I'm to serve in a community where the children only have river and they drink water from the river with no assistance and the water is not treated or whatever. And I get there. The first thing I want to do is to, knowing that I don't have the capacity to either change them from drinking the water or get a borehole dog or whatever, I could ensure cleanliness around the riverbed. I just ensure that no plastics are there, go there and pick it. Now, when I pick those plastic often, I get to have my story written. How? Now, upon talking about the clean water situation, don't forget earlier, I'll connect the story by saying a journey through the wetlands of social community in social area during my national youth service further exposed me to the dangers and to these precarious situations of individuals within terrains where unsafe water is consumed or relied upon for drinking. It stands to reason that I had to provide a community service to ensure the quality of water or the quantity of waste in the water consumed is minimized by picking up plastics, nylons, leathers, and and furthermore providing health education on food consumption and water consumption to the indigenous people. I've connected a story of myself, how I involved myself in quality education, health education, clean water and sanitation. And I've done about 4 of the objectives. I've tied it around 4 of the sustainable development. I've tied it around here and I've told my little story. And in that 2 lines or 3, I'm done. Now, upon that, identify the skill and knowledge gap you seek to. Now, I haven't told the story connecting it to the first, and I have a knowledge gap to say. This exposure during my national Youth Service brought to my notice the volume of or the population, the dependent population or population who depends on. You just have to choose your words. I'm careful not to dictate something and then somebody sits down and just copy them word for word and use it as though all I'm saying is not written anywhere. I'm dictating right from my head. And if I have to do a thorough job, I'll write it down, proofread it, check it, ensure there's consistency and flow of thoughts. But I just identify a knowledge gap. What is the knowledge gap I want to identify here? One, the people are not informed about the dangers of consuming unsafe water. Two, the people are not aware that this water have germs that can kill. Three, I just identify key points. And so I'll connect to say that by the time I study this master's course, I can realize I'll get exposed to a number of skills. One, better approaches to communicating with indigenous Africans on health and well-being. Why is it how is it connected to climate action or climate change? It's because the volume of the water bed, the water table is kind of shifting downwards by the day due to the changes in the climate. And so majority of organizations, individuals, families, and people are beginning to depend on river waters or river channels to augment waters or water demand on daily basis. So it depends on how you see it. You could start generally by saying the global water demand has risen, yet the volume of water available or consumable water available have reduced by so percent to so percent within so year and so year. That's already a global statistics. And then you build upon that and begin to connect your dots. But when I identify my knowledge gap, I let it out that these are the knowledge gaps I've realized based on my experience, based on my studies. One, I found out that people now depend on water irrespective of what for survival, simply because one, they don't have knowledge. So when I go for my master's and I return, I already am exposed and have better approaches to communicate it. I come to communicate it to them. One. Two is that I learn advanced yet easy to implement approaches to help purify waters. Three, I learn to build collaborations and partnerships that can help me initiate projects and advocate properly to ensure that good water systems are available within the country, singularly execute projects and all of that. You just tie it around the things you have identified as vacuums that you can fill. Excuse me. Then you connect all of the above with all or some of the CSC teams provided above. Now go back to the CSC teams. When you write all of this, it's 200 words. So if you check the volume of things I've said, if you relate it quite carefully, you will realize that you can't exceed 200 words. Just choose the most important, highlight them, use words that can relate and the best way, and ensure you're concise and yet you're precise. Now, the CSC teams, once again, I can connect my statement now to promote access, strengthening health systems and capacity, strengthening resilience and response to crisis. There is already a water crisis around. Now I'm going to do this. There is science and technology for development. How did I know there is science and technology for development? Because when I come back and I'm talking about establishing easy to implement approaches, technologies to make water affordable yet clean, I'm already talking about science and technology for development. And so by the time you do this, you will realize that you have already helped achieve development impact 1. Now, when you get to development impact 2, you see, you're expected to answer a few things, how you intend to apply your new skills and all of that. So the first thing I'm saying is that I'm going to choose a platform to leverage when I return. Don't forget where our story stopped to masters. By the time I finish my statement of how my masters connect to the CSC teams and the problem and the gap I studied is needed and the problem I identified and the global index, you see me going backwards and you can relate carefully. And I'll say, upon my return, I'll be partnering with the Ministry of Environmental and whatever resources to ensure that there is a recognized governmental backing to do this, to implement this project, to carry this out. Just capture that, and then you identify the newfound skills that you'll be equipped with from the program. Now, this is available on the portal of the school. Every portal have it. So you just go to the portal of the school and check out their programs. MSc in Environmental Resource Management, MSc in Occupational Health, whatever it is. They have, at the end of the program, objectives. They have what their students have testified about them. If you cannot take your time to check through all that is on their portal for their objectives, you can take your time to look at the testimonials of some of their students, gain insight into what they have before you check this, then do a comparative study. And you report that. Upon that, you highlight the precise. This is precise. I highlight the precise ways you intend to apply the skills you've gained. For example, you tell exactly how you will apply what you've learned. For instance, you will join a cleanup team, you will join the ministry of this to be carrying out this annual program they do on annual basis as a volunteer. That way you will help whatever you discover you can help to do to achieve, or to leverage also to achieve. You list them out, and there you have to tell how precisely you need to. It's a question of how. How are you going to do it? Are you going to write to them to seek audience from them? Are you going to write to them to give you platform during their program so that you can speak once? Are you going to be volunteer to be an interpreter? Are you an instructor, a specialist in sign language? Will you volunteer to be a sign language demonstrator? You know, how? Specifically, be specific, be precise, highlight the upon the conclusion of obtainance of my skills. I'll return to the country, and in partnership with the Ministry of Environmental Management and Resources, I will, one, apply to the government to partner with the government for its biannual environmental awareness program. I will, at every World Environmental Health Day, so program day, World Drinking Health Day, and whatever, we'll carry out this project, we'll do this project, we go out on this awareness. How will you leverage the skills you've gained? List it. In your development impact 3, you now talk about issues like your outcomes. Your outcomes. The first thing is, what are your outcomes? At the end of the day, you expect to have ensured that environmental cleanup after oil spillage is addressed to restore livelihood and biodiversity. You can choose to talk here about adaptation, you can choose to talk about mitigation or restoration. But how exactly do you think that your activity in development 2 will yield a result? So I hope, for instance, the community where they are poor, I hope that by the time I have applied this, I would have increased the girl child enrollment in schools. I would have increased the girl child enrollment in schools and all of that. You know, you just identify what you think you would have done successfully and let it out as a information to the mass. You also, you have to be specific. This development tree is where I tell you that you must apply the ART: achievable, reliable, and time bound. The whole of the essays will require you to adopt the SMART technology. S for specific, M for measurable, A for achievable, R for reliability, and T for time bound. So all of that put in place, you begin to factor that together and just note your work and do that. So time frame, when you get to time frame, you of course you should talk about short term, mid term, and long term if you have the time. But if you check carefully, your time, your number, word count is not much. So you may not talk about so many things, but for now, because you still have a placement for future plans. So for your time frame, you talk about what you intend to achieve in the first 1 to 3 months, and that could be that in the first 1 to 3 months you hope that you would have conducted 3 workshops, 2 conferences. If you have the wherewithal, the resource and the manpower or the connection, you can write that. If you know you don't have the wherewithal, don't bite more than you can chew. So you just talk about achieving what you can achieve in the first 1 to 3 months. You would have ensured that you visit all affected communities. If it is oil pollution, you'd have ensured you visit all affected communities. If it is the water consumption of this water, you'd have ensured you relate with the community to build a knowledge of belonging, a sense of belonging amongst them, so that when you want to carry out the cleanup and whatever, they would have collaborated with you. You'd have ensured that you integrate youth, create youth awareness and sense of community responsibility in the youth, so that by the end of 3 months, you would have conducted at least your first river cleanup or river channel cleanup. You have done a great job. By the time you write this, you are already integrating goal 17, partnerships to achieve the goal. When you do community service and all of that, you're under partnerships to achieve the goal. So you are seeing that all of this is interconnected and interwoven. That's your first 3 months. In your 6th to 12th month, you can talk about, okay, joining campaigns, launching this, taking up an employment opportunity with either a parastatal, a non-governmental organization, a school or whatever, to sensitize, to achieve. These are quite so by the end of the first 3 months, you've already had ample knowledge. You know what you need to do. So either when you're taking up the job in academic setting is to conduct research. So that you can actually provide information to the outer world and then seek source fund to finance cleanup projects and further projects to help these people. You have integrated a number of things, and then that would have helped a long way. And then you go to development impact 4. Development impact 4 talks about the M in the SMART, which is measurability. With that, you just have to take note of the fact that, okay, you've gone to school and all of that. Now you've promised a lot of things. How will it be measured? 1, how will you yourself measure your impact? 2, how can the school or the scholarship body measure your impact? You can talk about the 2 in 100 words, but if you cannot talk about the 2 in 100 words, just talk about how the school can measure your impact. 1 could be that upon return, you set up a YouTube channel. If you can pause the video and read through. I just provide this so that you can at least see highlights of what can guide you, and if you can do justice to this, you can actually be on your way to your dream land or academic dream. And so you talk about owning a YouTube channel. It could be that you just create a blog post, build a website where people can access information and donate to the cause of your cleanup projects. And then you let it out. You just identify ways. So you're saying that in the first 3 months you visited all of this place, and by the end of 3 months you'd have set up a website channel where all the informations you've gathered, all the knowledge, all the places you've visited, quality description and situational report about them, or brief, quality but brief, precise and concise information about the places you visited, you provide it. I'm using what I relate with. There are so many cases you could pick up. You could go into the transportation niche and look at issues like, by the time you would have observed what is the quality of roads conduction, how long has this road lasted, why is it that there have been sources of accident for those long. Just take up on what interests you, adopt the approaches and the highlight or key points I used here, relate it carefully, and I tell you, you're up for grasp by the scholarship committee or awarding body. And if it is a girl child equality you're looking at, like by the end of so time, you'd have ensured you've raised funds for at least 20 of these children between ages 12 or ages 5 and 12 to be enrolled in the in the school, to be enrolled in school, or for their undergraduate, not undergraduate, primary school or secondary school, on fully funded scholarship to the end of the program. You write this, it can be challenging, and that is where when you come up later, you can talk about it. Although this goal looks challenging, you don't believe that it is impossible, because you have the opinion that where there is a will, there's a way. And you could use that statement as a starting statement to spell out how your work should be measurable. Or you could use it as a closing statement, whichever one you adopt, and you would have actually communicated well. And that being said, you realize that, okay, you are up on the right path to success. If you are following and you are getting value from there, please like, share, and subscribe. Also, let me know where you're watching from, just in case your situations are peculiar beyond what I mentioned. I could leave in the comment section in reply to you a highlight of illustrations to guide you on your own. For instance, if you have a situation, maybe you're in the marine setting, I could at least think up an illustration for you and just type it. Not that I'm going to shoot another video on that, but at least it can give you a basic understanding or an interaction. And if you would love us to have a channel, maybe a call, the link to my WhatsApp channel is in the description box below. Just go in, subscribe, and relate with me, and then we can schedule a time. Even if it's a 30 minutes call on the channel, we'll do that, and I hope that we will all, as many as are picking up the scholarships, will be up for the game. Now let's go to the last session in this first part of the video. And the last session has to do with your proposed study in the UK. In this setting, you talk about your study outline. Now, what is your study outline? Your study outline, under it, this is where you talk about the title of the course you want to study. MSc Environmental Resource Management, MSc Occupational Health at the University of Cranfield, at the University of Bournemouth, at the University of Portsmouth, at the University of East Anglia. Irrespective of the university, this is where you go, mention it. The reason or the goal is that you know where you're going to and you know what you're aiming for. Please take note. I know you want to conserve space and your word count, but don't make mistake and ignore it. This is what you intend to study. And these are key modules in the course that aligns with your vision and aspiration, and that is why you're choosing it. So you know that in the modules there is biostatistics or there is health statistics. Make sure you mention it, that health statistics and so and so. Identify those core modules in the course of the program that aligns with your dream and let it be mentioned. And when you're mentioning that, ensure you relate the problem you intend to solve to these modules. Looking at the biostatistics, looking at the problem, or let me say it this way, key modules now. You know you're writing. It's like an essay. Considering the research, the proposed, the course intended, or social course, okay, MSc Occupational Health at the University of East Anglia will provide me with advanced biostatistical knowledge and proficient strategies for implementation of clean water in Donito community of Sususu. Period. The biostatistics course and this and that will help me strengthen my crude approach to resolving the communal problems I've identified in so. You know, you just take it gradually, and then you talk about preliminary debates. What are preliminary debates? Of course, techniques in some modules and topics around these issues. You've noticed that somebody used one approach, and that person used this approach and all of that. So you talk about how that based on what have been done before, people have adopted social approach and social approach to resolve the problem or to attempt to contribute positively to this project. However, these are the limitations you've identified. And so you are coming in to see how you can use your own approach and your knowledge from this course to actually ensure this is achieved to the fullest, or ensure you provide a better status. If you cannot resolve the problem, at least you can make the people have a better livelihood. Either way, ensure you make a positive impact. And then you highlight your, and because of this application, you intend to work on a spatiotemporal or a or a clean water resolution approach, adopting, you just think of your problem and identify how you want to approach it and how you intend to resolve it. And in less than 20 words, I think your dissertation title should be done. And once that is done, you go to detailed plan of your study. One, in your detailed plan of your study, the course of study became of interest to you on the following grounds. You can highlight them in bullets. You can list them with a comma, separating them with a comma. But whichever way you want to do it, ensure that you adopt an approach that is pyramid, from general to specific. What is the global world using as a solution, and what are you going to use also, and why is it that way? Narrow it down to your local environment or to the place of interest for you, and you relate with it as it may be. Then you go ahead to university rankings. You can check out the university ranking on QS platform. Yes, you can check that out on QS platform. So US rankings, and you can just go to the QS rankings portal. I have it there for, and you just glance through, and you just click on it. You have all the information, rankings overview, QS world rankings, ranking by subject, sustainability rankings by region, ranking best student cities, and all of that. They have various parameters to rank them. So you look out through it and use it to judge your school, employability, international trade, whatever it is. Just use the ranking systems on QS, and you can identify the school, rank the school, then go to your particular university of interest also. There's a global ranking. Now go to your particular school of interest. Still on that portal, ranking by universities. The QS is global ranking. So on global index, just check out what is the school. Your school is ranked 20th in the top 300. That's a ranking of its own. Then you now go narrow it down to particularly your school. Now when you now go to your school, now check out University of Glasgow, for instance. If you take note carefully, you realize that I've been using so many of the universities in the UK. Yes, because I'm not marketing any university, and I'm not an ambassador to any of them. So go to University of Glasgow, and you check out their ranking in the state of their residence. Maybe in Glasgow, University of Glasgow happens to be the second top university in the community there. So you highlight it there and mention it, and then the course ranking. Your course ranking ranks what position? You can mention the global position of your course ranking, and then you can mention that of the state, the country, or even the community of residence. And then the skills you intend to gain, you realize it. I mentioned it earlier. At the end of the course, you mention it again. You realize that if you do this carefully, there'll be a flow of thought. There'll be synchronism between all that you say before and all that you have at the moment. And then applicability of the chosen course to problem at hand. So how applicable is this? With this, you are able to tell yourself, okay, I would have by successfully achieve at least 85% of my dreams to contribute to social problem with this course and this school, with the help of this. Now, identify scholars within your area of interest, because when you are writing, you must market them. I've said it again and again in quite a number of my videos that every man wants to be celebrated, and sincerity is the bane of reward. So when you look at them, you check professors whose interests align with your, or who can serve as mentor. You may be toying a maiden part. For instance, during one of my undergraduate days, and I was running my second undergraduate course, in my school, I conducted the maiden research, and I was awarded. The maiden research, I was awarded for it. And so you could take a part like that. I didn't have a lecturer in that niche. I had to leverage somebody who stays within the environmental resource management niche, because I was doing both medical and environmental research. So I was bringing two distinct or almost distinct disciplines together, yet I was intending to use it to achieve one goal. And at the end of it, I conducted my research and I came out top the class. So if you're doing that now, you will just have to look for which persons can relate with you. Kind of observe your studies, and then while you're writing here, you let it know that Once you write this course and once you take up this course, you'll be able to relate with so professor and so professor whose works here, whose works and approaches here have inspired you greatly to achieve, to become more intentional about this problem you seek to solve. And then you once again say, and with their guidance, you believe that your proposed research topic, semicolon, pardon my manners to dictate this for you, you highlight it, you can put it in quote and then italicize it, will be a success. Period. With that being said, you would have achieved all that you need to achieve at this point of your essay. Now, with this said, this brings us to the end of the part 1 of the essay, and I hope it helps you. Please, once again, ensure you take your time, digest it, listen to the video, watch it again and again. If you need to watch it and write and make down your jottings, jot down the approaches, jot down the highlights, the steps I listed, and when you jot them down, take your time in the cool of the night or in the early hours of the morning, irrespective of where you are. Check your best and most productive time. Use it to write out your stories. You may have so many stories. If you don't rush it, you'll be able to achieve a good success. I tell you, if you give yourself 2 hours per day for the next 7 days, you'd have come up with a quality story. Write your story. Write your story, and you'll realize that you're on your way to success. I believe you can do it. Don't forget, the slogan is, quitting is not an option. And where there is a will, there's a way. I believe that you can achieve it. Others achieved it. I achieved it. It is possible. Let's see you at the top also. Ensure you like, comment, share, and subscribe. Turn off the notification bell and see you in the part 2 of the video. Ta-da!